It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview this SUNY Cortland's head golf coach, Coach Michael Discenza. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college golf?
It was a circuitous path, I would to say the least. My background started in football. When I went away to college, the game plan was to be a high school football coach and a social studies teacher. So I studied history in college. I was a football student athlete, not a very good one. So then when I eventually when I got hurt and kind of ended my career, I had the good fortune of being offered the opportunity to remain with the program in a coaching capacity. And it was at that time that I caught the coaching bug, as a student assistant coach, and started to go down the coaching as a profession. Started to go down that path, rather than teaching and coaching. I thought maybe college athletics is something that I can make a career out of. So I was a student assistant coach at Ithaca College for a couple of years. Stuck around for one more year at Ithaca after graduation, and then was a graduate assistant football coach at Widener University, just south of Philadelphia, where I got my master's degree, did my student teaching, and got my social studies certificate. But at that juncture, that coaching bug was, I had it as bad as you could get it, and that was what I wanted to do, and loved coaching college football, loved everything about it. That flame, that bug, if you will, was stoked by a lot of really great mentors. At that time in my life, Mike Welch, Mark Raymond, Brian Angelico, guys that were, giants in the Division III football scene, and have gone on to do, some really great things since. So that was the path I was going down. And then that's where it kind of took a turn in a sense. I played a lot of junior golf, and as a young kid, seriously considered playing college golf. Went the football route, figuring I only had a couple more years of that. Where with golf I could play the rest of my life. So I was going to take advantage of a few more years of football. But I had a pretty extensive golfing background, and my summer job while in college was at a local golf course where I swept the floor and cleaned clubs and waited for that last cart to come in every single night. And it was at that time that I befriended an athletics administrator at Cortland, because I grew up in Cortland. This is my hometown. I've not wandered too far. And as a college kid, and closing the shop each night, I would play a lot of golf with Mike Ertz, who was the assistant athletic director at the time. We got to know one another, and so when the women's golf position opened at Cortland, I was the first call he made, knowing that I had a fairly extensive coaching background for somebody that was just 25 years old, albeit in football, and offered me the opportunity to apply that coaching background to a different sport, one that I had some experience in as well, albeit not coaching. So it was an opportunity to move home and pursue coaching as a career in my hometown. And as Brandon, talking to as many coaches as you do at the college level, college coaching is a nomadic endeavor. Men and women move all over the country to chase their dream. of coaching at the college level and their given sport. And, I had the opportunity to move home and do it. And, I was the head coach from 2007 to 2012. And at that time, I was also working as an assistant golf professional at a local club before other opportunities came up at the college that was able to make my role as the golf coach at the college supplemented by some other responsibilities, essentially full time. So I did that from 2007 to 2012, and in that time became a member of the PGA of America, which I remain probably a member of 11 years. And I wanted to investigate some other opportunities in the golf business. So I took a job at a really nice facility about 30 minutes north of Cortland in Syracuse, New York. And it was great. It was everything I hoped it would be. But it was really at that time, I guess, to finally get around to answering your question, when did I know I really wanted to coach college golf? It was then, because while the role at this really nice golf course was as the assistant golf professional was great. I missed coaching. I missed the relationships. I missed the competitive piece of it. So fast forward all the way to 2020. I've had the opportunity to have a second chance. I think, we've made pretty good on that second chance the last few years, and looking to continue to, push the program forward in the years to come.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to come to Cortland SUNY to become the head coach for the first time?
As I said, it kind of came out of left field. I'm sitting in Chester, Pennsylvania, wrapping up my master's degree, knowing my grad assistantship was coming to an end, and was really open. I was ready to go on that coaching journey. At that time, my network had started to grow a little bit, and I had some opportunities in other parts of the country, and considered those. In fact, it was interesting. I was right, timing's everything. I had interviewed for a position at a school in New England, and was waiting to hear back when the call from Cortland came. And shortly after I ultimately accepted the Cortland position, the school in New England called and offered me the job as their linebackers coach. And had that school had the linebackers job open first, I probably would have taken it. And I don't know if I'd be sitting here, with my son getting home from school in a couple minutes, and my life could have been totally different, right? Timing's everything. So, I never really intended to coach college golf, but I was having a similar conversation with somebody recently. I'm 41 years old, and and when you get to this juncture, Brandon, you'll probably be able to say the same thing. Very seldom people, 40, 50, 60 years old, if you asked them 20 years previous, did you think you'd be doing this? Is that the case? And I say all that as a means of pointing out that I'm very blessed. God had a different plan for me than I had, right? Isn't that true for all of us? And this is truly what I was meant to do, and I enjoy every day of it.
Of course, what has that experience been like? Obviously, getting to work on the PGA side.
It's been really fulfilling. The PGA of America does, a great deal to empower its members as a means of growing the game of golf, and trying to get more and more people around the country, around the world, to enjoy, the greatest game in the world. And that looks a lot of different ways in different parts of the country. So, a lot of my mentors on the golf side, were PGA members growing up. I think back to my junior golf experience. And I was just having a laugh with this particular gentleman, a few weeks back, when I was a junior golfer at Elm Tree Golf Course in the early 90s, the head golf professional, Bruce Martins, was my idol. He might as well have been, well, I guess at that time, like Fred Couples, or Tom Watson. And I was kidding with him just recently. I said, Bruce, is funny. When I was like between 10 and 13, I wanted to be you. And now I'm 40 and I still want to be you. And we had a good laugh. And then, working at the golf shop, worked under a couple great PGA members, Tony Saraceno and Eric Manning, who were really, really good players. Bruce was a great player too. Tony and Eric played in a couple tour events, major championships, senior US Open, PGA Championship. So, being a PGA member was something that I really valued. And then when I went to work at Skinny Atlas Country Club under Michael Doctor, who was a National Golf Professional of the Year, I really even more became more infatuated with the association. It was at that time that I went through the apprentice program. And then ultimately in 2012 earned membership, and in 2020 was elected to the board of directors of the Central New York PGA, and have since ascended to the secretary position, where I've got to every day I've got a hand in trying to make the day-to-day of all of our members just a little bit better, which is humbling and exciting. And it's a big responsibility that I don't take lightly. I hope I do a good job. I try. I'm still very new at it. But I just really love the association, love everything that it stands for. I have the utmost admiration for all of our members. I love the camaraderie, in the organization. We play pretty much every Monday at a different professional event. And it's just a blast to see the men and women, every week that, are serving our great game. And, I'd like to think I'm a little part, of serving our game.
How has your time working on the country club level helped you into then getting to become the assistant coach first at SUNY Cortland?
Taught me a lot of patience. Definitely taught me a lot of patience. I think that's probably the number one thing. I grew a lot, in those years. I think, again, all the way back to 2007 when I went to work at Skinny Atlas Country Club under, the consummate professional and Mr. Doctor. And I would qualify myself as like kind of a cranky punk, at that point at 24, 25. And I think Michael, through his patience and professionalism, kind of smoothed out some of those rough edges. And taught me how to be patient and more professional in that context. And in addition to that, I taught a lot at that time, and I still do privately in the summer. So, investigating the golf swing, researching the golf swing, watching other people teach. I have a golf lesson tomorrow, and I am the student. I'm the pupil, not the instructor. And I can't wait. I'm fascinated by the technical side of the game. And it's being delivered by, a gentleman who's another mentor of mine, Joe Tesori Sr. That I've got the utmost admiration for. And, I like that the golf swing's interesting to me. For my own golf, sometimes I go down that rabbit hole too much. But not doing so is always a strong suit of mine. I suppose I've lost that in time as I've become so interested in the golf swing. But working on the green grass side of things, I think maybe more patient, maybe better professional, and I think it improved my technical acumen in the game.
Of course, what was that like getting to first become the back to Cortland to become the assistant coach before making that jump to then take over as head coach?
When I left in 12, um, no small part of the no small part of that decision was the fact that my assistant at the time, uh, actually the son of the gentleman I just mentioned, Joe Tesori Jr., uh, was primed to take over the program, and it had grown a lot in those 5 years, and I would have been reticent to hand it over to just anybody. But Joe is a very close friend, a great golf professional in his own right, a very decorated player, and so to turn it over to Joe, I was able to do so with the utmost confidence, and he did an incredible job. Excuse me, for 8 years. So when I came back, it was kind of, we were once again transitioning. We basically spent a semester where I was handing the program to Joe in the spring of 12. And then, in the spring of 20, we went through a wild semester, as you can imagine, where he was kind of handing the program back to me as he had some other things that he wanted to investigate professionally. So that semester was crazy. We all think back to where we were in March of 20, and I just come back on as an assistant, and knowing that I was going to take the program over that summer, and having no idea that our season was about to come to a very abrupt halt.
Of course, what was that feeling like when you did take over that program that following season?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It was gratifying. It was a relief, because as I said, when I moved back into that green grass setting, in 2012, 2013, I felt remiss. I felt like I had missed, maybe a great opportunity, in what was my calling to coach college golf, and I had followed it up by, thanks to my other professional curiosities. So it was a little bit of a relief. It felt like coming home. Not only did I miss the relationships with the kids, I missed the relationships with the other coaches. I go to work with some of my best friends every day. And, there's this wonderful dynamic amongst all the coaches. I just bumped into our men's soccer coach, who I'm serving on a search with right now. I bumped into him in the grocery store just this afternoon, and we had a great conversation. And those kind of conversations happened amongst all of our coaches. I think people ask all the time, what are some of the things you do for professional development to grow? I walk into Park Center. I mean, you got to talk to Joe and Rick. You've got an idea. I have I've got a football and golf background. If you ask me to list my mentors in rank order 1 through 10, the number 1 would be a softball coach. So it was exciting in a lot of ways.
Of course, what was that like getting to come back as a head coach to your alma mater and getting to start running things back to where it was at?
Well, I didn't go to Cortland. I went to Ithaca, who is our blood rival. I kid all the time. We all make mistakes. And there's a lot of Cortland grads around the building that they don't let me forget it. So no, it's exciting, but what it is home. It's my hometown. So again, to have the opportunity to do something that was so exciting to me, that I have so much enthusiasm for, and do it in a place that I call home, and with my wife and son and my mom and dad and my family so close, is I feel very blessed.
What does a typical golf tournament look like for you as a head coach?
Our events are, well, 36 holes, almost exclusively conducted on weekends. So, we, every event for me as the head coach, starts, Friday morning behind the wheel of a 10 passenger, cargo van and, driving, one way, east or west on the New York State Thruway or north or south on Route 81, several hours, and we get on site. We'll play a practice round. Our schedule, at least in the fall, doesn't change much from year to year. So we play a lot of golf courses that are certainly familiar to me, and I would say you go back to 2022, fall of 22, or fall of 21, spring of 22. We started 3 freshmen, a sophomore, and a junior that year. I mean, we were really young, and we had an incredible year. We set a couple school records that year. So fast forward 2+ years later, now we're kind of getting old. We just graduated, our second player since I've been back. We've only graduated 2. Where we've been that young. So we've actually got an older team coming into this fall that they're familiar with a lot of the golf courses that we play, but we've got a pretty good book on the golf courses that we play. So we'll go out there and build off the game plan that we already had, and install that game plan for the weekend. And then throughout the competitive rounds, I'm fortunate to have a really great assistant who is an alumna, played for us in 2012, 2013. She's a very good player, still a very good player. Basically, Coach Merkley will move around the golf course in a fairly strategic way. If there's a couple particular holes out there that are, that can be challenging for one reason or another, we'll make sure that she's posted up there. And I'll essentially do the same thing. I like to try to see everybody, over the course of 18 holes. It's a little different than other sports where, again, I know you just talked to our hockey coaches, they're on the bench and they see it all. Our competition is conducted on a much different piece of property, if you will. So I can't be in 5 places at once. And, so as I, get our assistants situated around based on circumstances, I'll do, I situate myself in a similar role. Maybe it's a particular hole. Maybe it's a particular player. Everybody's needs are a little bit different. We have some players that, are eager to have a coach, looking over their shoulder, for a couple of holes or a lot of holes, and they need that and they want that. And we have some players that, are kind of, hey, show me the first tee and stay out of the way, and everywhere in between. So, we try to install a really good game plan on Friday, and then, support our athletes, the best that we can on Saturday and Sunday. And that starts with empowering them during the week, during practice.
Of course, for SUNY Cortland, do you host a golf tournament at your facility, or do you have to go to a private facility for your home golf tournaments?
So we don't have a golf course on campus. We have a really wonderful indoor facility, which, as you can imagine, in the Northeast is exceptionally valuable for 4 or 5 months a year. We are very, very fortunate to have a great relationship with a beautiful private golf club about 3 miles down the road. Cortland Country Club is where we call home. The members are very welcoming. The professional staff is exceptionally accommodating. It's a great golf course. The practice facility, meets and maybe even exceeds our needs. And we host our home invitational there. each spring. We had 14 schools represented this past April. Biggest event we've ever hosted, and and some of the best teams from the region were in attendance because the golf course is so good. Wasn't because of my charming hospitality. I'm sure of that. So Cortland Country Club is one of our biggest assets.
Of course, what is that like, obviously getting to play at Cortland Country Club for your home, but then getting to travel to the West Coast to play at some other schools?
Yeah, I mean, we have been really fortunate to travel quite a bit over the course of the last 3 years. I mean, we've competed in Texas and Georgia and Florida just in the last 15 months. So, again, Cortland, I think, gives us, and the golf course, gives us the resources that we need to prepare for a lot of different circumstances. We've got enough kind of latitude around there where I'm able to conduct practice in such a way that put our athletes in some unique situations that might closer represent what they'll see on the weekend, no matter the region of the country. But when you talk about going to the other regions of the country, fortunately, when we go on those more extended trips, we're down there far enough in advance of the event that that we're able to maybe do a little more preliminary work than we otherwise would, getting used to some conditions that we can't possibly replicate. Whether it's chipping off Bermuda into the grain in Florida, or playing in the wind in Texas. We've played in some different spots that you can only replicate those circumstances once you get down there in some cases.
Who are some of the teams that you typically try to compete against?
We pride ourselves on keeping a really competitive schedule. We play primarily in and around the Northeast. So, we play a lot of schools in New England, Williams College, Amherst College, Middlebury College, Ithaca, and then more locally, Ithaca College is very good. Wellesley out of Boston, some schools in our conference, St. John Fisher, Nazareth, Utica, Suffolk. So we play some really good teams in our region. It's really important in college golf to get out of region as well. For the student athlete experience, we'll go on an extended trip every year on spring break. We were in Orlando this year. We were in Jekyll Island, Georgia, just outside St. Simon's Island last year. Where we try to get the opportunity to play against better teams from across the country, whether it be a Carnegie Mellon or an Emory, or Washington Lee Center, Claremont Mudd Scripps, Pomona Pitzer, on and on. And have the opportunity to go play, potentially get a head-to-head victory against a really strong team from out of the region is really important.
Of course, when competing with those teams out of the region, what is that like? Obviously, getting to travel to teams in North Carolina, and even going to the California side to play against teams like UCLA and Cal Poly.
We are. We've only seen the West Coasters at the NCAA tournament. In fact, the national champs this year were team out of Oregon, George Fox. And Claremont Mudd Scripps is right behind him. Pomona Pitzer actually almost came to our event this year for the very same reason, trying to get that head to head. It's great because you get to meet different people. The athletes get to meet other athletes from all over the world. And they get to see some really, really good players and compete against some really, really good players. I mean, the level of play is just so good. It's just so good. The individual national champion this year at our level, she shot 68 at in the final round. Young woman from Washington University in St. Louis, and in the golf course was really hard. I mean, you shoot 68 anywhere. That's a really good score. But I mean, this wasn't your run of the mill 68. I mean, this golf course was really, really demanding in every sense of the word. So yeah, to have the opportunity to get out and play against the best players in America, is something that our athletes want. As we continue to grow in that direction, and it's an opportunity that we covet and look forward to.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for SUNY Cortland's golf program?
Yeah, it's building a culture is a critical piece of building a positive culture is a critical piece of any functioning team, and it's very much a moving target. I think it starts in recruiting, where you're identifying not only good players, but really good people that value the same things that you do. And I tell prospects all the time, and it's true. I will every single time, take a B+ player, if you will, and an A+ person over vice versa, because that ecosystem of a college golf team is fragile. With 7 to 10 athletes, it doesn't take much. And 1 or 2 people are on a different page. That can be 15, 20, 30% of your roster. So it's something that we're very sensitive to. It's something that we take seriously. It's something that our athletes take seriously. And I think the culture that we've installed and is one that's founded on hard work, empathy, and selflessness. Smart, skilled, and selfless are things that we value. So it's and those are easy things to profess, and easy things to write down, and easy things to put in a handbook and talk about in a meeting. The challenge comes when the rubber meets the road, and the athletes holding one another accountable, and myself and my assistants holding the athletes accountable to that standard, and making sure that those behaviors are consistent with what we profess to value.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate golf?
Yeah, it seems that timeline seems to get moved up more and more every year. I guess I'll start at the end to get to the beginning. We usually wrap our class up with commitments for the incoming class around the holidays, and the class of 23 essentially wrapped up in December. There's always a few, there may be a few stragglers. We recruit a lot of athletes that are garnering attention from scholarship programs. So, and I certainly don't blame them. Oftentimes, we'll recruit an athlete through the spring because they're holding out for scholarship money. So that's always a good situation. So when I say we're essentially done around Christmas, I'm never going to say no to somebody that's receiving overtures from Division I and Division II schools about potential scholarship money, and then maybe it doesn't come through, or they have a change of heart, and that's often the case. In fact, we just should have gone to scholarship school down North Carolina, coincidentally. actually that was the last one, and we just kind of put that to bed about a week ago. But no, I mean, recruiting starts. We'll really start to identify kids at the end of their sophomore year, sophomore into junior year. We'll get on. We'll do a little bit of preliminary research on the events that they played in, the scores that they've shot. Are they posting these numbers, at viable events from viable distances, at least 56, 57, 5,800 yards, thereabouts. And then we'll get out on the road, see them in person, typically, that summer, sophomore year going into junior year, and then, seriously start to recruit them, throughout that junior year, and then, get on the road, see them again, that summer, junior year, going into senior year. They'll typically be on campus, for an official visit towards the end of their junior year, the fall of their senior year, which is roughly when they'll make application, and, hopefully have that decision in place, on around the first of the year.
What is that like, obviously getting to see those prospective student athletes fall in love with the SUNY Cortland facility and the campus?
It's great, because that means they're leaning towards coming to us, right? We've got a really beautiful campus. We're really, really fortunate to have a lot at our disposal. We say it all the time, and it's true. And as I alluded to, I'm serving on a search committee right now for another coaching position in our department. So, it's been neat to see some outsiders come in and kind of walk around campus and reiterate what we already know is true. It's kind of a Division I experience in a Division III package. So, we've got an indoor facility, as I alluded to, that's the exclusive space of our athletes, the varsity women's golf program. Right? It's our locker room, it's our golf simulator, it's our study lounge. That's pretty cool. And I could go on and on about, the rest of the facilities, and, and the campus itself. It's the safest campus in New York State. It's a great little college town. And I alluded to our soccer coach bumping into him just a few minutes ago in the grocery store. We just had this conversation. The place certainly does a lot to recruit itself. But it takes a lot of work on the part of the coaching staff, to broker that deal all the way through and to see it through the finish line, because, there's a lot of really beautiful campuses out there, and there's a lot of really great coaches out there. It's more competitive than ever. So, it takes, you got to roll up your sleeves. That's for sure, if you're going to get it done.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like getting to see those freshmen put on that golf polo for the first time?
I think of one of our athletes in particular that was struggling last year. It was her freshman year. She played in every event for us. And she wasn't playing as well in the spring as she would have hoped. That transition is hard. I've seen, no matter what, even the most talented player, that transition that's a big change in life circumstances, going away to college and trying to play tournament golf amidst all of that is not easy. So, she was going through a bit of a funk in the spring of her freshman year. And it just so happened I had seen her dad her dad came to an event a couple weeks previous, and it showed me a picture of her and her sister. And they were probably like 6 and 8 respectively. And they were in their little golf clothes and swinging plastic clubs. And it was a cool picture. And I got to thinking that she was, just struggling one day. I asked her, I go, what do you think 8-year-old you would think of 18-year-old you? And she kind of thought about it and smiled. She goes, I think she'd be pretty impressed. I'm like, well, there you go. So yeah, it's neat because they're, for many of them, they're, when they tee it up for the first time in a college golf event, they're realizing a childhood dream, going away to college and playing their sport at a high level. So, it's gratifying. It's exciting.
What's it like, obviously, seeing those freshmen turn into seniors and putting that polo on for the last time as seniors?
Yeah, that's harder, right? I think if, you interview a lot of coaches and, I'm sure they all cite, why do we do this? Well, it's the relationships that you have with the athletes, it's the relationships that you have with their families. And those relationships don't end when, the last putt drops. But they change. I think the two young women in particular that have moved on since since I've been back. It was emotional to see them play for the last time, and they both did incredible things. Danielle Bambola was, I had the opportunity to coach Danielle for a year, but got to know her and get close with her and her folks very, over the course of that year, through some ups and downs and some really good golf. She was our program's first two-time All-American, finished 14th at the NCAA championship in Lansing, Michigan in the spring of 21. And then it was just over, poof, right? It's it kind of hopefully this keeps happening. Our season, ending at the national championship, and it's not, and we come back to campus after graduation, and everybody kind of goes their separate ways. It's not like we come back and go through exit meetings and turn all equipment and things like that. It's poof, everybody goes their separate ways. It's the last time I've seen her since, but that last embrace and goodbye was, in the parking lot of the athletic center at 3:00 in the morning after we finally got back from the airport. Amanda Gaffney and was just a superstar for us this year. She's a conference player of the year. The embodiment of everything that we value, just so selfless, so hardworking, and just mature and a professionalism beyond her years, such a role model for her teammates. I mean, Amanda, just this past spring, she played for Rick. She was a major contributor on one of the best women's ice hockey teams in school history. She's student taught 4th grade and was the conference player of the year on the golf team. And she never flinched. She made it look easy. It wasn't, got to be real friendly with her family, and and those people don't leave your life. They don't leave the program, but they, it's different. I'll miss not seeing Amanda every single day. I do miss seeing Danielle. I do miss not seeing her every single day. I miss seeing their families at events. But again, that's why we do it, those types of relationships.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those players go on after their collegiate career to go into the corporate world, or even going into coaching golf or playing professional golf?
It's, and again, I mean, that's, the athletics are so wonderful because they're the perfect supplement to the academic experience, right? They leverage, a lot of the, skills that they learned and honed in their sport, in a professional context, whatever that might be. So, to be part of their growth as a young adult, so that they can go on to be great teachers, great coaches, great mothers, so great fathers, brothers, sisters, so on and so forth. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. I have, but I think Amanda she's going in education. I remember having a real candid conversation with her a couple of years ago when she was majoring in community health. She said, "Coach, I'm thinking about being a teacher." And I said, "Amanda, I can't think of a more perfect role." So again, to to see her go in that direction and surely be successful. Same with Danielle. Danielle went on to play professionally a little bit. She gave that a shot. While she had the chance, and was in her young 20s, and played well, but knew it was time to move on to the next thing. And she's doing great things as an educator down on Long Island, and giving the gift of golf to other young people while she does it.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the golf program moving forward?
We're gonna, first and foremost is to continue to cultivate a really positive team atmosphere, a really positive culture, and as a culture of accountability and hard work. And as I alluded to before, that starts in the recruiting process. And so continue to try to attract prospective student athletes that first and foremost value the same things that we do, and that are talented players, and then once they're installed at Cortland, give them a really great experience where they're competing against the best players in the country, at some special venues, all the while growing as young women and young adults. So that's a big target, and it's a 365 job in some capacity. People ask me all the time, gosh, what do you do in the summer? When the athletes aren't around, I recruit. Paul Johnson, the former head football coach at Navy and Georgia Tech, he had a great quote years ago. And it might not, I got a beard, so this might not be a good example. I'd like to think I do a pretty good job recruiting, but he said, recruiting's like shaving. If you're not doing it every day, you're not gonna look very good. So, you gotta stay on the ball, with recruiting, but, most importantly, serving the student athletes that are on program as they continue to grow.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to enter college golf for the first time and as freshmen?
Obviously it's a lot of hard work. And it's, to have a plan, to have a plan in place, where you're practicing, with an intent every single day. They should certainly be working with a competent instructor, as a guide, and then, playing as much tournament golf as they can. And I say that there's a fine line too. In junior golf, playing opportunities are so prevalent. You could play every single day if you wanted to. And there's certainly young people out there that subscribe to that more is more. And so burnout, like it is in any other sport, is a real thing. By the time they get to us, they don't even want to look at a golf club. So, it's working with a competent instructor. It's playing an adequate amount, of tournament golf against, good competition, at challenging venues, being prepared to fail, right? You fail way more in our sport, than you ever succeed. And, that's a hard pill to swallow for, a lot of, adolescents and teenagers. So, it's learning how to fail. It's learning how to fail forward. It's learning how to use those difficult circumstances which golf present every single day, some more than others, and using those as information, as wisdom. Okay, I had a hard day. What didn't go well? What pieces of my game specifically do I have to work on? And then, identifying those pieces and having a really specific plan as to how to improve them, and then work on them with patience and diligence. And if you do that, the results will, eventually start to take care of themselves. And, as I said, there's a lot of really good coaches out there that are, beating the bush, recruiting really hard, if you won't go unseen, at least not for too long.
Of course, what advice would you give those college seniors looking to enter after their collegiate career into professional golf, whether it's the LPGAs or anything in professional golf?
Well, I mean, you talk about playing for a living, playing for a paycheck. There's so many good players. There's so many good players out there. I would, encourage, anybody that had those aspirations to chase their dreams. I did so with Danielle, and and she had the work ethic to really do it, and the talent, and to just be patient when she get out there, because again, there's a lot of people out there that can shoot 68. And they all want, they're all vying for just some of those, just a few coveted spots. So stay patient, obviously build a strong support system, and again, like those aspiring junior golfers that are looking to play collegiate golf, failing forward, and using those harder times as wisdom, and staying patient. And when it comes to, you talk about the other professional piece of it, I'm proud to that our program has produced a few PGA professionals that have gone into the professional side of the game, as instructors, and for them, it's to identify, start to build a strong network, be prepared to maybe not make a ton of money once you enter the that side of the business, but to keep working hard. And I'm proud of the more than a handful of ladies in our program that have gone that route and are growing the game as golf professionals in the region.
What advice would you give those college players looking to go into college coaching after their collegiate career?
To you got be prepared to move. It's you're gonna have to take a leap at some point, grow to grow your network, to get around really good people in the field, and to grow your network, to challenge yourself, to get out of your comfort zone, and then kind of similarly, you're going to be prepared to hand to mouth existence for maybe for a little while, and just get around as many talented people as you can. Not necessarily as means just to grow your network, but to absorb all that wisdom they have to give. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time now, and we're all lifelong learners as coaches and golf professionals. And I love going to some of the events that we go to, because some of the coaches that I get to see and just chat with, and I'd like to think I'm a pretty good listener. The best resources, like I said, some of the best resources we have are in our building. They coach other sports, and some of the best resources I have is maybe specific to golf, or some of my peers or some of my colleagues, and that's certainly true. As I alluded to, kind of the camaraderie amongst us as PGA professionals, just getting around as many smart people as you can to help make yourself a little bit better.
What advice would you give those future college coaches looking to become head coaches of a golf program like you have?
I certainly would reiterate everything that I just said, and be prepared to and be prepared to take a few steps. Maybe your end game is to be the head coach at a prestigious school at you name the level. There's probably a step or two in there before you get to that point. So maybe take a head job at a place you didn't expect, grow that program, make that yours, grow that program, get that on your resume, as a means of taking a next step. Vet every job before, before you kind of get, real serious into it. I say that, I say that you need to be prepared to, take a head job and grow it and move on. And at the same time, you got to vet each job as well. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where, maybe there's a real challenge when it comes to resources or whatever the case may be. And, you have a hard time growing the program in spite of your best efforts. So, be prepared to take a few steps, do your due diligence, as you're, vetting opportunities and work hard.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the SUNY Cortland's golf program at?
I'm sorry, Brandon, say that again.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
I am on Instagram at M Discenza PGA. It's also my Twitter handle. I don't tweet very much. I read a lot. On the one hand, Twitter gets a bad knock because because there is a lot of nonsense on there. There's also a lot of good information on there. I don't tweet a whole heck of a lot. If you go on my Instagram, you're gonna find a lot of pictures of my son. And then our Cortland our Cortland Golf Instagram is Cortland W Golf.
Thank you again, Michael Discenza, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the SUNY Cortland women's golf coach as the head golf coach.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it. Have a great summer and all the best in your future endeavors as well.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Michael Discenza, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.